talking about like that, like if you had some wood out in the yard, instead of saying carry it in the house, you'd say tote it in the house. And like if you had something that you wanted to put in a paper bag, you put it in a paper poke, you know, instead of a paper bag. Well, the way people talk around here, I guess it'd be what more like you call hillbilly style or something, I guess. I don't know, just mountain talk.
Most of your local people have your mountain talk. That's the way you can tell the mountain people from your outsiders, by their language they use. Say, I'll see you over yonder. It means I'll see you like in Waynesville. It's a mountaintop kind of.
Never, nothing stops. It's like a singing, you know. We're kind of like we're singing. Lita said we're singing, not talking, you know.
Yeah, I like my moped.
Everybody hears about Graham County, don't they? How good the people is, how they'll help you. I run into people I don't know, never seen them in my life, and I help them any way I can. Somebody said one day, you'll get knocked in the head. I said, well, if I do, I'm just knocked. They're just good-hearted. Everybody you meet, just 99% of them. If I didn't live here, I'd move, wouldn't you?
Where you want to go on vacation?
If I was going to go on a vacation, I'd just stay right on here. Oh, yeah. That's where my mind is all the time, anyhow.
We are 20 years behind the whole country, but I wouldn't swap places with nobody. I feel much more comfortable here being 20 years behind everybody than I would be sitting in a lot of places and being so miserable. You don't like your neighbor, you don't speak to your neighbor, you're bitter with the world. Atlanta's a good example, or Raleigh. You drive down the street and everybody's wide open blowing their horns and don't know nobody and don't want to know nobody and don't care about nobody. It's quite a bit different up here.
Well, I lived in Washington, D.C. about 4.5 years, and I just seem to be in hell with my back broke as live there. People are so good to each other here.
Many of the words and expressions in mountain speech are unfamiliar to outsiders. Scots-Irish settlers brought much of the vocabulary from Europe, but many new words and expressions were invented here by their descendants.
There's just somebody coming up with a strange word is what it means. I mean, let's say you're trying to get something done, you're building something, and you'll take a look at it, like the word "sygoglin." You're looking at it and it's all out of line, and you just might come up with the word sygoglin. I do that myself. Can't think of anything right off, but I come up with a lot of new words myself. And so you get somebody standing around, they hear that, and okay, it's sygoglin.
Say a carpenter has done a real poor job, and then you say, that's all sygoglin, you know, he didn't have his wall straight, or...
They'll stand back and look. If something ain't like, they say, that thing's sygoglin. They'll say, I want you to look and say, what is it? If you're building some kind of, they said, that's sygoglin right yonder. And said, that old road going up there, and said, that thing's sygoglin.
My grandmother, she's always talking about people being stout or gaunt. She used words like peckerwood. If it's somebody she didn't like, she'd call him a peckerwood. If there's somebody she didn't know, but he's probably all right. She didn't have any animosity for him. She'd say, he is a jasper. There's this jasper come by here this morning. I knocked on the door, you know. But if it's a salesman, there's this peckerwood out there on the porch.
It's like people used to, you know, like you go in the store and say, put it in the bag. Old people says you put it in the poke.
That's a bag. I used to go to the store, walk 2 miles to the store, and when I was a kid, and carry a 25-pound poke of flour home. That's flour, by the way, not flour.
And me and my 2 sisters and 1 brother, we'd be waiting on them at the house to get our candy. Saul, the older man I was talking about, had a little poke of candy. He said, well, I forgot to get anything. Boy, we'd scream. Oh, here it is.
Plum was a common word when I was growing. Plum this and plum that. Plum over there. Well, he was just plumb wore out.
And that copper mine, that vein, they tunneled under the ground, plumb out through here to Snowbird.
Like the wind was blowing, you know, a lot of air. They would say it's very airish outside.
Airish, it means it's a little bit chilly outside.
It means it's Irish, that means it's chilly today. It's Irish today right now as we speak. The air is blowing and breezy.
They go to store and buy a Coke. They call them dopes back in. I don't know if you ever heard anybody say that or not.
That's what we drank when I was a kid. And it was called, they had Knee-High, they had Pepsi-Cola, Royal Crown Cola. A lot of them, that was dope.
Oh, a dope. You're talking about like a soda pop, soda water, yeah. Yeah, soda water, yeah, dope.
That's all they ever called them around here as a kid. I mean, that's...
Now, if you go up toward Ernestine's place up there, stop along there about where you turn up to Tony's there in them pine patch, right, and along with that log house, you probably see a boomer right there.
A lady come through and she said, oh, I said, that's a pretty boomer. She said, a boomer? What's a boomer?
You know what a boomer is, don't you? You ever see one?
What's a boomer?
They make a lot of chatting noises. They're about the size of a wharf rat.
A wharf rat? Yeah, a wharf rat. Big old rat.
A boomer is like a little squirrel. It's not a squirrel.
It's a mix between a gray squirrel and a chipmunk.
Except it's red.
Can you eat them?
Yeah.
She said, that's a red squirrel. I said, well, to me, it's a boomer. We always called it boomers.
Say it's no skull. I mean, that's old dad land won't grow nothing, you know. Call it skull. I don't know if you ever heard that. I know you have. Call it a skull, poor land.
That's like a carburetor in my van, all gommed up with all that old dirty stuff.
Gom? Means like it's all cluttered up, gommed up.
Yeah, that means it's in a mess. That's what I would say.
They didn't know they talking such educated folks, did they?
I know.
Instead of saying yonder, you know, over yonder, it's over yander. Do you ever hear that word, over yander?
Yeah, I say way over yonder, yeah. Yeah, Mama used to come up to us when we was little and she'd say, goose or gander. She'd pull each year. You say goose, she'd say pull it you loose. You say gander, she'd say pull it way over yonder.
Them little bitties, they all know me. They say yonder comes him a riding at Harley Davis. They think it's a Harley.